Hello everyone, welcome to the TSS. So in this class we are going to discuss about Flask installation. So here I am directly installing the Flask, and I am not discussing the basic things like how to install Python, okay, how to work with pip command, all those things. I am directly teaching this Flask installation directly. So if you want how to install Python and how to work with pip command to install external packages, then you please refer back to my Python basics tutorial series, in which I have elaborately discussed all those preliminary stuff, friends. Here I am directly discussing the Flask installation, right? So let's jump into the topic. So first of all, we need to create a virtual environment, friends. Okay, so let me discuss about what is virtual environment first. So in case of normal installation, what we are doing, we are directly executing the software exe files and it will install into the system directly. Okay, and in the Python case also, while we installing the any packages, so it will install globally into the system. And if you modify any uh, packages or any software kind of things, then it will reflect globally to the, it will applicable to the entire system, right? Now take a scenario. So you are working on 2 3 Flask projects. So one project is based on Flask say 0.5 version, and the another project is based on the Flask 1.0 version, and the third project is based on the Flask version 1.5, like that. So suppose if you install the Flask directly into the system, okay, then what problem you face while installing the system? Say for example you install, say let us suppose 0.5, 0.52, like that. Okay, then what will happen? So you can work at a time and the first project itself. So if you want to switch over to the second project, which is based on Flask some 1.0, then you can't. Okay, if you want to upgrade that Flask, and then you go to the command prompt and upgrade that Flask from 1.5 0.52 to 1.0, then what will happen, so all 0.52 version will be erased and it will totally upgraded to the 1.0 version. So in that case, so you can work with only 1.0 version. So what about the project based on uh, Flask 0.52? So you can't work. So the bottom line is, here virtual environment isolates your installations, okay, and you can at a time work with different projects with different versions. Okay, so one project can't relate to the other projects. Okay, so all the projects are isolated, working in isolated environments in different versions. That is where virtual environment comes into the picture, friends, right? Okay, so now I am jumping into the topic. So that is the need of the virtual environment, that is the first topic. Now I am going to the step 1, that is how to create this virtual environment, friends, right? So open the command prompt, and so you need to install all the Python softwares into the system before moving to these next steps, friends. Keep that in mind. So after installing Python and adding those path variables to the environment variables, after that only all these commands work, friends. So after doing all those things, you please open the command prompt and give these following commands one by one. First is pip install virtual env. Pip means Python installer package, so which is used to install the external packages libraries into our system, friends. Okay, so pip install virtual environment, so which installs a virtual environment package to our system, and then create one directory at your desired location, preferably in the desktop or whatever you wish, the location is your wish. So I am creating my Flask tutorials directory in the desktop for easy accessing, and then you have to change to the directory, and then in that directory at the command prompt you need to give virtual env like this, and then you have to give the name. So this name is also your wish, you can name whatever name you wish, right? So since it is a Flask tutorials, I am giving Flask -env. So the name which you are giving here will appear in the subsequent command prompts, okay, so which denotes what environment, in which environment you are working. Okay, so after creating this virtual environment, then you need to activate that virtual environment to work on, right? So how to activate that virtual environment means, so first of all you need to move on to the location where scripts is having, right? So inside the Flask tutorials, inside the virtual environment that is called Flask env, and then inside that folder you have scripts, and inside that scripts you have the file called activate. Okay, so open the command prompt, change the directories to the scripts, and then type activate. Okay, then a small Flask env will be appeared before this C colon, right? So that indicates you are working in Flask environment, friends, right? So after that activating the virtual environment, then you should install pip install Flask, then only the Flask will install into the this virtual environment. Otherwise, if you don't do first step 1 and step 2, and directly if you do this pip install Flask, then this Flask package will be installed into directly into the Python package which is working globally, and all changes will be reflecting everywhere, right? Okay, friends, now I am moving to the practical part. Here I am using VS Code. So in my earlier tutorials I had used this Visual Studio Code, friends, and I had taught how to use this Visual Studio Code. Please refer back if you are not familiar with Visual Studio Code, friends. So now I am in my command prompt in my terminal. This is a simple Windows command prompt which is integrated to the Visual Studio, friends, right? Okay, now I am in my desktop. I am making one directory called mkdir flask -tutorials, right? Okay, so now I am moving to that directory flask tutorials. Okay, now I am inside the Flask tutorials on my desktop, right? So let me show all those things to you. Here this Flask tutorials. So after creating these Flask tutorials, I am moving inside to the folder, right? Okay, so inside this Flask tutorial, what we should do now, we should create virtual environment. We should install virtual environment. So okay, inside this one, pip install virtual env. Okay, so before also you can do, after creating the required folder also you can do, no problem. So after giving this command, you need an internet connection to install this virtual environment or any pip packages. So since my system is already having virtual environment, it will show requirement already satisfied. In your case, it will install the virtual environment to your system, friends. Yeah, it is showing requirement already satisfied, right, because I already installed the virtual environment in my system. Okay, now yeah, so and then what we should do, we should move to the, we should activate that environment. How we should activate? We should move to the inside the Flask tutorials. We should, let me show this one. Yeah, inside it is not having anything now. Now I am showing it after giving the activating the virtual environment. A folder will appear here. You please observe here, right? 1 minute. Yeah, now what, activating that virtual environment, virtual env you should give like this, and then the name you wish to give for this isolated virtual environment. I am giving Flask environment, right? So after giving like this, one more folder will appear inside the Flask tutorial. So in this folder, Flask env consists of all the uh, software packages which is required for operation of virtual environment, friends. In the background my system is doing some more tasks, that's why it is slow. Let me wait. So it will take couple of minutes. So after creating this virtual environment Flask-env, one more folder will appear inside this Flask tutorials, friends. Taking much time as usual. So one Flask-env, it is installing at the back end. So inside this Flask tutorials, one more Flask-env came, friends. Okay, inside this, let me move on to that. Inside this we are having scripts and the necessary libraries for functioning of this virtual environment, friends. Okay, so to activate this virtual environment, you need to move inside this scripts folder. Okay, inside this scripts folder you have one file called activate, right? Activate. So you need to type this activate inside the command prompt. Let me do that. Okay, so it was installed. Now you need to move on to the change the directory into the Flask env and then cd scripts and then type activate, right? So now you please observe, before giving this activate, before C nothing is appearing. That means we are working globally in the system. After giving the activate, before this C colon, Flask -env will appear, which denotes that we are working inside the Flask env, which is an isolated environment. All the changes is only applicable to that Flask environment only, and it will not reflect entirely into the system, right? Enter. Okay, now you see before C colon Flask -env appeared. So that means we are inside this Flask environment, and after this command, whatever you install, that will install into the Flask environment only. It was not applicable globally, right? It is an totally isolated environment, friends, right? So now I am going to install pip install Flask, right? So now this Flask is going to install in the inside this Flask environment. Okay, pip install Flask. Since I am already installed this Flask package, so it was installing because I had created a new virtual environment. No, so it is installing again. So these are all collecting, means these are all the sub packages which in turn used by Flask, friends. Okay, right, successfully installed all these packages, and the command prompt returns. Now the Flask installation had finished, friends, and in the next class we will see how to use Flask, right? Okay friends, see you in the next class. Till then, bye bye. Yours Vida signing off.